I'm starting a window cleaning business. I've just decided.
Mm.
I've been on forums. I've done my research. Um, should I quit my job?
Oh. Yeah, so I mean, I have a no, my opinion is not different. I did something that was, probably I wouldn't what I did, I wouldn't recommend and encourage other people to do.
Do as I say, not as I do, kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, I mean, I took a bit too big of a risk, especially with a family and kids.
Right.
Um, I think it really comes down to if you're not married and you don't have kids, I think you should be incredibly bold and take big risks. Always. I think if you are married, maybe a kid or two, if you have a couple kids, whatever it might be, risk. I think you should still take risks, but it should probably be a bit more calculated and planned.
Mhm.
Um, and I think the amount of risk you are willing to take needs to align with what your spouse is in agreement with as well.
Yeah.
And for me, well, I don't need to get into my story necessarily right now, but yeah, no matter what, I think risk is something we need to take. It's almost always worth it, but we need to be somewhat calculated in it and be in alignment with our spouse when it comes to things like that, especially when it pertains to career choices, building a business. If you don't have a supportive spouse, things can get messy real quick. So take risks.
Yeah. That's definitely the case. It's weird because there's kind of risks on both ends of this question, I think, of like quitting too early versus quitting too late. You run the risk of, like we mentioned, starting before you're ready financially,
Yeah.
like you have no cushion at all, versus waiting so long that you could have started, 6, 9, 12, 18 months prior, and you just hesitated,
Yeah.
and because of that, you're farther behind than you otherwise would have been. So I think it's a balance, and ultimately, I think it comes down to risk tolerance for the individual.
Yeah.
I think the lower your stakes are, um, in the real world, the bolder you can be, for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's, yeah, I guess there's risks on both sides. What caused you to go against your own advice when starting your business?
Yeah. I think religious worldviews are probably going to be like the thing that probably differentiates that for other people. Like I am a man of faith, and I believed that. Well, my story, very quick version, is I had a dream in April of 2024 that I had this massive window cleaning company.
Mhm.
I'd never cleaned a window in my entire life. So that dream in and of itself was kind of strange. In the dream, there was a warehouse. It was full of trucks that were wrapped. My son was a bit older, and he was there running it with me and managing people. And in that season of my life, I was really, really unhappy and burnt out in the marketing agency field. And I also am not a big dreamer. Like I don't have a lot of dreams. I'm not really that good. It's I don't sleep deep enough to have them. But long story short, I told my wife about that dream, and we both just felt like that was something that was from the Lord, and we were both in the complete agreement of what the plan with it forward was going to be. And she was a bit more nervous. I was the one that presented, well, should I just quit my job and go for this? And we were having that conversation the morning of the dream. So I woke up from that dream, we had that conversation,
Hmm.
and she was a bit more she's not as risk tolerant as I am.
Hmm.
She's a very much play it safe person. And but she gave me her blessing, and I was like, I'm gonna just shut down my agency and quit. I'm gonna get rid of all the clients. And that is very high risk.
Right.
I mean, I have a family. I've never cleaned a window in my life. Um, and I stopped all forms of income that same day,
Huh.
which is very dangerous. So I wouldn't just tell someone like, "You should do this. I did it. It worked."
Right.
I believe that it worked because I believe that God's hand was pushing me in that direction.
Right.
And that's why that worked. So, if you're a person of faith, I think you should be praying about those decisions, and really be sure that that's if you think it's from God, then I think you should take those risks
Yeah.
and let Him show Himself in your life in that way. If it's just this idea, I'd probably urge you to take a little bit more caution and learn the field
Yeah.
first.
Well, and that certainly worked out for you, and, like, you had a lot more you were working at Taco Bell,
I was
when you
not.
decided to start a window cleaning business. You had a lot of context, you had, experience in sales.
Yeah.
Whether or not you were selling home service businesses is almost or, services is
Yeah.
almost irrelevant. And you had a pretty extensive marketing background as well. So it's not like you were doing something brand new altogether.
Yeah.
You had a lot of the tool set already, that you were already familiar with a lot of the tool set to
Yeah.
begin with.
That you need to build a business.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of learning the technical side of
Which is the
doing it,
easiest part.
which is the easiest part. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure you've learned a ton about running a business in general, as opposed to just being a technician through doing this. But nevertheless, you've worked in organizations that are incredibly successful, and you've run your own agency as well. Were you just a solo guy with the agency, or did you have any
So
people
yeah,
working with you?
so I was a solo guy with my own agency.
Mhm.
At the time, I was balancing that and working for an agency, which was actually a great company. They specialized in the orthodontist space.
Okay.
And it was an amazing company. They're out of Pensacola, I think. And yeah, great company. But I mean, I went to my boss that day and was like, "Hey, man, I'm all done. I'm all done. I don't want to do this." And when I say like dude, I was so unhappy
Yeah.
in my just day to day life. I dreaded. I was so excited for the workday at the end to be over, and then once it was over, I immediately started dreading the next morning.
Right.
There was just no peace in
Yeah.
my life with that. I wasn't happy and I wasn't fulfilled. I made great money. I mean, just at the agency without mine, they were paying me 90K a year. So I had a great income, but man, I was so unfulfilled in what I was doing. And I think that was also probably one of the things that made it easy to taking on all of that risk and just leaving was easy from an emotional standpoint
Right.
because I was like anything to not go back to this.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I've been in that situation a few times. I don't know. I guess when something like that happened for me, it's like a control thing. Like especially working in my own home service business before, you have extreme control over outputs, inputs, what's going on in your business, quality, etc. And I don't tell anyone else I said this, but I'm a terrible employee. Like I'm very loyal, I'm very hardworking. I can catch on to stuff pretty quickly. In terms of like, I'm loyal to people.
Yeah.
I'm not loyal to businesses
Yeah.
that aren't owned by me.
We're similar on that. We had this
Yeah,
conversation yesterday.
yeah. I get incredibly frustrated when there are improvements that could be made that are out of my control to make or even dictate,
Yeah.
like, what might change. That gets frustrating pretty quickly for me. So, yeah, I definitely get that emotion for sure, and, like, when you're in that situation, yeah, moving on becomes really easy,
Yeah.
even if it is risky. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, something like this comes down to, like you said, your worldview, um, and your risk tolerance. I think the most important thing for people to hear that are considering starting their own business is that, um, if it hasn't occurred to you yet, it is a risk, and it's worth spending some time acknowledging that and determining what your risk tolerance is, um, and adjusting your approach accordingly. When if you have a few hundred or a few $1,000s to your name, um, the ramp up of building any business is going to be slower
Yeah.
than if you have the more sufficient capital to kind of front load some of the things that are necessary in terms of getting the right equipment,
Yeah.
doing the right marketing strategies to actually set yourself up for long-term success, and like having some more time and capital up front to be able to put into that, even if it means you're waiting longer,
Yeah.
will make 6 or 12 months from now look way different than it would if you start today, right now, and just jump in with both feet with really inexpensive equipment, or with more pressure because you have less margin in your life. Um, like there are truly benefits
Yeah.
to really just giving it even a month or two longer than you were expecting. But on the other hand, there is the potential risk of just having massive opportunity costs lost on your end. I mean, you've been doing this for like 2 years now, basically. And last year did you break 300?
Just under. It's like
Okay.
it really ended up being. Actually, I only got the final numbers is because my my books got so wrecked.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a different topic. But yeah, it ended up being like 297 and
Okay.
some change.
Yeah. Cool. Just barely. So
Yeah.
close. Um, if you had waited another year, that's a massive opportunity cost
Yes.
where you would have been working at an agency.
Still unhappy.
Yeah, still unhappy. Yeah, man. So there's risk on both sides. I don't think we're here to say anything controversial or concrete in terms of when you should quit your job, but I just think it's really, really important to think these things through. Um, as opposed to just going the route of, I've got my $50 in equipment, and I'm going to go knock doors and it's just going to work out, period.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't always work out, and you want to have margin if there is any latency between when you start and when you start seeing that initial momentum. Because in the real world, like maybe on YouTube, and in the real world to some extent, there's outliers that go out day one, such as yourself, knock doors, make $1,000 in their first day.
Yeah.
Like that does happen.
Yeah. Those are all anomalies.
Yeah, there are exceptions to the rule,
Yeah.
not the rule. And if you're on social media and you're seeing content right now about starting a window cleaning business, that's going to seem like that's the rule.
They make anomalies the norm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to seem like any suburban neighborhood you go into, the homeowners are just really
gonna like bow at your feet and be like, yes,
yeah,
please clean my windows.
They don't know about Google. They
Yeah.
really need their windows cleaned. They're just waiting for their, knight in shining armor to come and knock on their door in a t-shirt and sneakers and clean their windows. And that's not the reality.
Yeah.
Especially if you think it is, go knock 200 doors this week.
Yeah.
And you'll find that that's not the case. Not to say that you shouldn't do that. You should.
Yeah.
Especially if that's your only option. Or maybe just as there are people that have built 7-figure businesses just off of knocking doors and running teams doing that. It's a totally legitimate way to
make money,
to get the heck after it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is this disconnect, obviously, this is such a cliche to say, between what you see on your screen and what reality actually is. And if you enter this business or any business thinking that gap is 0 or close to it, you're in for an unpleasant surprise. So we're just going to keep this one short. This is a warning. Hopefully it's a something that's encouraging to you. Basically, at the end of the day, what Dave and I want for you is to enter a business in a way that is stable, sustainable long-term. This business has extremely high turnover. It's very, very, very common. For, I don't know about you, but I've talked to dozens of people in my life that were like, "Oh yeah, I cleaned windows for a season in high school or college," and with my brother or whatever, and then they stopped, and that's super common. The reality is, you can build 6 and 7 and in some cases you can sell an 8-figure home service business doing cleaning windows. And that's different than just going out for one season and knocking doors. But because of that, like if you're getting into this with the idea of doing it long term, best thing you can do for yourself is start at a time when it's still risky, there's still pressure, but you have some margin, and that margin is going to make the risk sustainable long term.
Yeah.
So
so good.
Yeah, this has been Clean for Profit. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.